Welcome to our Signal Media Executive Interview Series. I'm Kimberly Underwood, Director of Digital News Media at AFCEA International Signal Magazine. Today, I'm sitting down with Evan Bays from IDEMIA to speak about access control for mission-critical environments. Evan is the Vice President of Engineering and Research and Development at IDEMIA National Security Solutions. In this role, he leads the prototyping, development and delivery of mission-critical solutions for their customers. Evan also oversees the continual improvement of IDEMIA National Security Solutions scaled agile framework process to support value creation from both within the company and for their customers. Evan has an in-depth knowledge and understanding of criminal justice information systems and related data models. He has spent the last 18 years designing, developing, and managing such IT systems and business processes within the Department of Defense, the Department of Justice, and within the intelligence community. He has led teams conducting technical research and feasibility projects related to integrating open source software and migrating to cloud computing services and resources. And Evan is an SME, a subject matter expert on the implementation of biometric systems within the US government. For example, he was recently an SME for the National Uniform Crime Reporting Program. Evan received his Bachelor of Science degree in Biometric Systems from West Virginia University, or WVU. And welcome, Evan.
Thanks, Kimberly, for that awesome introduction, and look forward to our conversation today.
Yeah, I'm so excited to talk to you. It seems like such an impressive field and so relevant to today with biometrics. I'd love to kind of ask you how you had the foresight to study biometrics in college. How did that interest you early on?
Yeah, so it was definitely interesting. It came about actually through my aunt. She was on the faculty senate at WVU. I was a junior in high school. She had heard about this great program they were going to start. It seemed super interesting to me, so I just stuck with it. I was one of the first graduates from WVU, and luckily fell into a position here in North Central West Virginia, and I've been able to build a career ever since. So it's often opportunities abound within biometrics, especially here in West Virginia.
Right, absolutely. And I know West Virginia, the state itself, is host to the major FBI facility in Clarksburg. And so I know, kind of has a presence, especially in that field.
Absolutely.
So,
absolutely.
Yeah, I'd love to dive into more about your, the company and kind of the ins and outs there. Can you tell us a little bit about IDEMIA itself and then the specific group you're in, IDEMIA National Security Solutions?
Yes, so IDEMIA is a multinational company. It is one of the premier biometric providers and overall identity providers within the globe, operating biometric systems in over 180 countries. So there's definitely a variety of the solutions that we support, from true biometric identification systems, credential and national ID programs. And then one of the more, hidden gems within IDEMIA is actually our cryptography. So that's the cryptography not only in cards, but also SIM cards, SIM devices, and telecommunications. So from a company perspective, it covers a lot of different markets and represents a good share of the tech delivered in those markets. Within North America, we have a separate entity known as IDEMIA Identification and Security. They represent all of our state, local government business in the United States and Canada. Within that, we have the entity that I belong to, which is National Security Solutions. So it's IDEMIA NSS. And we represent IDEMIA Tech to US government enterprise biometric customers. So our primary customers are the FBI, the DoD, intelligence community, and Department of State. So we provide large-scale systems to support criminal justice use case and screening use cases throughout the US government. Within NSS, I have a team of around 50 folks, mainly based here in Morgantown, West Virginia, supporting what we call the Applied Biometrics Center of Excellence, where we support the research and development, the delivery and operations and maintenance for these systems, and provide general guidance, not only to our customers, but to the rest of global IDEMIA on how to use this tech in these specific use cases.
Right, sure. Wow, that's impressive. And can you talk about some of the specific areas your solutions address kind of within those markets?
Yes, so we discussed the criminal justice use case and the national security screening. One of the new things that we're actually working on is taking that next step of physical access control. Biometric systems have been around for a while, so we've seen fingerprint sensors at doors to unlock them and things like that. We're taking that solution to the enterprise approach, meaning that the just match on device, match the door, present a card or a token, and your fingerprint to unlock it. We're now moving to the point where we can have a distributed or a federated architecture of identities, meaning that you enroll once, most likely, and hopefully it's approved here soon with a smartphone, capturing your face, fingerprints, and information off your driver's license to go through an adjudication process and allow you to access a facility once you've been approved. So that's a new area for us, a new solution that we're presenting, and one that we're excited to actually start to bring to market here later this year from a general availability standpoint.
Right, sure. I haven't heard too much about that type of solution. Can you talk about some of the considerations of developing that federated architecture for these identities? Kind of what do you have to kind of consider? And I guess the challenge of putting together, I don't know if you'd call that a system of systems, but kind of, what does that involve, I guess?
Yeah, so it's definitely complicated in the fact that we do want to respect people's privacies and the data that they're actually presenting and trusting within the system. So core to the solution is the ability to protect the data in transit, protect the data as it's actually going through an adjudication process, and then data minimization activities. So in other words, only keep the data we absolutely need to support the use case. We don't need to keep a dossier of all the information that you've shared and entrusted, not only to us as a company, but also to our end customer. Because ultimately these solutions we will deploy for a customer, whether it be in a commercial or government space. But understand that maintaining that trust and that responsibility to protect the data is kind of key to our approach. So that's kind of a long about way to say when we're designing all of this stuff, the security and the overall approach to maintaining the data in a safe, secure environment are paramount to what we provide.
Right, absolutely. And then can you talk about the ID2 access solution and what that is, what that involves?
Yeah, so what we were just talking about in terms of this new market, this new approach, our official solution name is ID2 Access. So its name represents what we're trying to do, which is your identity enables your access. So instead of presenting tokens or going through some other type of credential issuance process, simply use your fingerprints, use your face to access a vehicle gate point, a pedestrian gate, a building, a secure room, a secure hallway. All of these components kind of interweave into what we call distinct product sets. So we'll kind of go through that. The first one we refer to as ID2Pass. Similar as the name implies, it is a solution that will allow you to register your face, register information to go through an adjudication process, and then drive through what we call a vehicle fast lane, meaning that once you're enrolled, you've been approved to access said installation, compound, company headquarter building, whatever the case may be, you can drive in your vehicle without having to stop at a visitor center, stop at a guard's booth, to just, like I said, drive at a slow speed or at a high speed, depending on the use case, and be authenticated using your face. And then at that point, you can go through the rest of your day to go to a building and go through maybe a more normal checkpoint. But that helps alleviate a backlog that would traditionally occur at the perimeter. So that's what we're presenting within that product and our overall solution. Other components would be what we refer to as ID2 surveillance. As the name implies, it's integration into existing CCTV or IP camera networks that allow us to do face recognition, object detection, not only for observability of what's going on, but you can also use it for access control use cases as well. So if you wanted to have a camera at a door to authenticate people as they walk or approach with intent to open the door, you can do that. It's a more, I guess, frictionless way to access that resource. Obviously, through the pandemic, that was a popular solution in some use cases, right? To use a face as opposed to some other token or a high touch environment. The other component that we have is ID2 access control. This is kind of the brains of the operation. It's a central point to do what a traditional access control system would do, and coordinates the identity information, biometric information with your traditional access control panel. So once you're provisioned to get to a certain door, access a certain resource, your biometric will then enable that panel to open and it'll let you through. Now, all of that is powered by our last component, which is ID2 enrollment. So obviously, we're going to need that data into those components to actually work. So the ID2 enrollment functionality provides an iOS or Android app, as well as a website. So our customers, when they deploy the solution, can collect the information, additional information that they might need to support their workflow, and then it's enrolled and then it can be used to facilitate these other components. So that's kind of a quick overview of the ID2 Access solution, and look forward to sharing more about that in the future once it's generally available this summer.
Right, very cool. And how do you see, this ID2 platform with all those components you talked about? How is that advancing kind of the state of the art of biometric systems? I guess kind of put it in perspective for us, kind of, what was different than before, and kind of, because this sounds, new or inventive, I guess.
Yeah, so it is a different approach. Like I said, biometric systems to open doors have been around for quite a while. Cost has always been somewhat prohibitive to deploy at scale. So that's one thing we're working with the devices that we actually are deploying to be at a lower price point. And then additionally, there have been caps on how many you can actually enroll, or tiers to how it's charged out for a specific device. Within our approach, that doesn't exist. There is an enterprise matcher take to it. In other words, the templates, when we talk about security and privacy, they're not stored at the edge. They're actually stored in a secure, centralized location that can be distributed to support a multi-tenant approach, meaning that there could be several different use cases using that same biometric because it's centrally located. It's not on the device itself. So that presents the opportunity for us not only to enhance the security, meaning that there's not PII and sensitive information sitting beside an unmanned door, but also to scale it out. So that's been the biggest difference in the traditional architecture that we've taken within ID2 Access is that ability to centralize and scale out the overall biometric approach. It kind of sounds like a minor thing, but in the grand scheme of things, it's enabling that enterprise and easier adoption of biometrics within this space.
Right, yeah, that definitely sounds like a great improvement. And then I wanted to ask you kind of some of the customers you're working with, and I think I can kind of guess one. I grew up in Pittsburgh, so I fly home a lot to help my parents. And I was at, TSA pre-check in the airport in Pittsburgh and in Dulles. And I looked down as, the TSA officers looking at my ID, and I see the stack of, computer equipment and the systems, and it says IDEMIA. And I thought, oh, okay. I know them. But can you tell us kind of, about that application or, some of the other customers you're working with?
Yeah, so that application in particular is awesome. I mean, as a user, I like the point now where I can just show up with a driver's license and, go through the system. In the future, I look forward to TSA enabling what we're starting to see in pilot, which is biometric solution. Using the same core tech that I'm kind of talking about in ID2 access will be available for that use case and hopefully approved, where you just present your face on a mobile driver's license. That's another part of that solution in the future, and move about through that checkpoint. So obviously within the government space, we're enabling these use cases responsibly and ethically with biometrics. Some of the other customers we support directly within NSS, the ID2 Access solution is actually a ERDIC or Army Corps of Engineer project at Redstone Arsenal. So we've progressed into year 2 of that. We'll continue to work with them to pilot, how this new approach on access control using biometrics will work for their use case, and have some cool research objectives that in about a year will be published and made available. Within the rest of the government, we have some smaller scale access control use cases. Can't really disclose the agencies, but it's again just showing the value of moving away from a card or even just a key in some aspects to using a more robust, observable, traceable approach to access control.
Yeah, right. With the kind of the ethics and kind of privacy, baked in there, I can imagine how nice this will be for end users, not to have to worry about a physical card or a physical driver's license.
Yeah, that's definitely one thing that we hope to enable. I mean, it's you represent yourself well. You have the ability to present your identity in these use cases, and we have mechanisms to trust and build that trust. So let's take advantage of it, not only from an end user perspective, but also in automating the process, so we don't have to invest a whole bunch of resources where technology can really help us out.
Absolutely. And then last question, kind of how can partners, industry, government entities, state, national level, work with IDEMIA National Security Solutions?
Yes, so as I mentioned in the beginning here in Morgantown, we do have the Applied Biometric Center of Excellence. So if you're a government entity, want to reach out and talk about a biometric use case, feel free to do so. We'll have our contact here at the end. We've done this in the past for anyone that's interested in face rec use cases at a distance, occlusions, meaning that part of the face is obscured in some fashion. We have a mobile biometric collection application that we've gone through different use cases. So a lot of the tech that you've heard about or seen, or maybe suspect that we have, we probably have it here in Morgantown, and we can demo it. We can walk through a use case and help understand what the technology is truly capable of and what it's not. Let's be fair. It's not a end all be all and can solve everyone's problems, but it definitely has potential now to empower a lot of things that we didn't think were possible maybe just a couple years ago. So again, anyone who's interested, we're more than welcome to entertain a visit here in Morgantown and show you what we have.
Right, that sounds great. And thank you, Evan, for walking us through all that. I'm really glad to hear about this and glad to hear about these advancements coming in the future.
Well, thank you for the opportunity.
Of course. And then for those watching, for more information about IDEMIA National Security Solutions, get out and visit Morgantown, as Evan said, but also visit their website, www.idemia-nss.com. Thanks and have a good day.